Hello everyone, and welcome to the first video in our new Everbridge Insights series. Everbridge Insights came about really as a realization at the enormous wealth of experience and pioneering minds that we have both at Everbridge as well as our customers and partners. So we thought we would do our best to share some of this with you in the audience in some short videos to hear what these experts have to think the future holds for us all. Now, throughout the series, we'll be covering a broad range of topics from technology trends, market expectations, business culture, digital transformation, and much, much more. So we hope that there'll be something useful for everyone. And of course, the whole point of this is also to start discussions in our communities so that we can all learn from each other and hopefully give everyone some insights and food for thought that's relevant to whatever field you're currently in. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce everyone to our first guest in the series. This is someone who's been a thought leader at the forefront of the digital revolution since the very beginning. Forbes called him the Steve Jobs of academia, LinkedIn called him one of the top 20 voices of 2020, Esquire called him one of the 75 most influential people of the 21st century, and now I have the great privilege of calling him my colleague. Dr. John Maeda joined Everbridge in 2020, and instead of doing him a disservice by describing the role he's playing in taking critical event management to even greater heights, I'll just let John do that for himself. So, John, to start off, can you please tell our audience what your role is?
So what's my role at Everbridge? I am the Chief Experience Officer. I look over the technology and product experience that makes it easier for our customers to do what they need to do, which is keep their people safe and their organizations running. And what does that mean? It means looking at how we use technology in the context of the products that we deliver to ensure that we're really meeting the bar of how experiences have changed for enterprise software.
Thanks, John. Perhaps you can just take a moment to elaborate a little bit and tell everyone why is that important?
So why is it important? It's important because the different users of software were accustomed to difficult to use experiences that they had to use. And also, these larger screens, these mobile surfaces really hadn't evolved so quickly 10 years ago. But now they've actually over-evolved and they're everywhere. And so how we use many screens to enable that single pane of multiple panes of glass that are coherent, provide information to be able to enable anyone on your teams to keep people safe and the organizations running.
Thanks, John. Now, for me personally, I hadn't really heard of the experience industry until the last couple of years, really. So perhaps you can just take a moment and tell our audience what is the experience industry, what is customer experience or employee experience, and what does it mean for you?
The thing to keep in mind about experience is that experience is something that changes based upon you. It's your perception of what a good experience is. It's your expectation of what a good experience is. And that's different depending upon who you are. And therefore, when we think about my role, it's to understand all the kinds of people that might use our systems and the kind of experiences that we want to deliver for them. If you're a novice, you want something easy to use. If you're an expert, you want every setting possible to get it exactly right. And to cover that entire range is something that is possible with newer approaches to creating experiences and technology. And I look forward to the quarters ahead of how we're going to tackle that opportunity for the security industry.
But now we're hearing about it in boardrooms on an almost daily basis. Why do you think that is? Like, why is it taken off now?
So the reason why experience is becoming a big part of what boardrooms ask about your software systems is because everyone is becoming kind of millennial. They're used to using really easy to use surfaces. This idea of a single pane of glass is just more like a many panes of glass that feel like one single pane of glass. That's an experience. It's not just a technology. So as technology gets more commoditized, the thing that is differentiated is how the thing works. Does it work well? Does it feel right? Does it fit me? Hey, I'm a novice. This is really complicated. Well, no worries. The experience is adapted to you. Hey, I'm an expert. I've been doing this for 10 years. No worries. The experience is adapted to you. It's actually much more of a complex surface. The experience has to adapt to you instead of you adapting to the software systems. That's why experience matters today, because there's so many types of users.
Well, that makes perfect sense from a technology experience perspective. But what about the other term that we're hearing so much now of employee experience?
The employee experience matters a lot when it comes to how software is experienced, because employees are changing. The demographics of the world have shifted. It used to be that there were a lot of young people at the bottom of the pyramid, the population pyramid, and there used to be fewer people at the top, older people. It turns out that we're becoming a population rectangle now, so the number of older people will be equivalent to the number of younger people. And what happens in that case is that the employee experience that you offer has to cater to all generations equally so. So in that sense, when you're making an experience, it has to cater to the employee experience. And that's why, especially in the deployment of a large, complex enterprise software system, you want to know who is your audience. And in many cases, your audience is the employees who are working on behalf of the customers or the residents or the constituents that they're charged to protect. And they need an experience designed for them, not for quote unquote us or someone else.
Well, that again makes perfect sense. And how would you say that that applies to this safety industry or the security industry?
Well, it turns out that the safety space is not just the safety space, it's everyone's space. If anything, the global pandemic has revealed how fragile the global system is and how being safe is something we can easily take for granted. And therefore, when you're in that unsafe space, how do you react? Usually you panic. And the point of having better software systems that sit at the core, that can actually keep more people safe by keeping you, the operator, fully in control is critical. Think of all-wheel drive in a snowy area of the world. When you have all-wheel drive, it's like a superpower. You can drive into the snow because you have the technology that enables you to do that. In many senses, safety technology lets you do that. It lets you take more risks because you can manage them better.
Now, of course, I can't ask that without also asking about a phrase that you yourself coined recently, which is safety eats the world. What does that actually mean to you?
We think about how safety eats the world because it used to be just software eats the world. The cloud is coming, the cloud is coming, the cloud is here. Great, we're all connected. But now we're connected in this feeling of not so safe for so many reasons, whether it's some kind of climate-related disaster, or it's some kind of social unrest disaster, or it's some kind of thing we can't really predict, these so-called unknown unknowns. And therefore, it's important to be able to enter the situation of crisis with some degree of control. How do you control? You have to understand the situation that you're confronted with. And if you have the better surface to control it, more sensors to understand, you have a better chance of getting through something. Think about how an autonomous self-driving car is able to operate. It operates better when it knows more about what is coming at it, what is miles away, what is miles and miles away, and it can offer a different level of safety. And so in that sense, the experience of safety, the most primal experience we can offer to anyone, is improved by having a better sensing surface. And that's why technology matters so much today.
That's fantastic. Now, of course, one of the reasons why we're doing this series is to talk about trends and predictions and things. So, where do you see this trend taking us over the next few years?
Where do I see the trends going? Well, I definitely think that Safety eats the world is more important than software eats the world. Software already ate the world. So, in many senses, how safety technologies are able to evolve are where the energy is going to be at. We already see it in this post pandemic universe. We're asking how do we manage through it and how do we manage after it? Surprise, this is not the last type of calamity civilization will experience. So, therefore, when the next situation comes, will you be prepared? It isn't a customer relationship management situation. It isn't some kind of digital workflow problem you're trying to manage. It isn't a technology problem. It's a safety problem. It's a duty of care life type of, not problem per se, but responsibility. And that responsibility, more companies, more organizations are needing to actually feel that that is core to their business, because business continuity, as we learned in the pandemic, is linked to employee safety. The two connect. So this area of the technology stack is definitely going to grow and only improve.
And where's that going to go? Where is that trend going to be taking us?
I guess when you think about the future of safety technologies, we have to keep remembering that it's not just the technology, it's also the people know-how. I mean, there are people out there who have been in the security industry for decades. They have the experience of having gone through so many calamities. And that experience is vital because there are so many nuances to everything. Consider how machine learning is only as good as the data that it's given. And consider how most calamities have happened before the era of the cloud. And therefore, there is no data per se. It's all in the people. And not only that, we people care about other people. And so that aspect of the Everbridge network is a vital thing to consider when asking, how do I keep ourselves safer? Do we just buy more technology? Well, we buy that, and we also buy the know-how combined with it. And that's the safest bet for the future.
And what else do you think the future might hold for us?
When you think of the future and technologies like 5G, they're going to enable much more dense networks of sensors and actuators. And also the way that VR, AR are emerging as we understand ultra complex spaces. It's quite exciting. It means that we human beings will be able to manage safety threats, see them, understand them, pick them apart, predict in ways that were never possible. Ultimately, it means that people will be more safe, organizations will be able to run more effectively, and that's an exciting future. And that's what the Everbridge network of companies coming together as one Everbridge is an exciting proposition for any customer out there who's trying to figure out how to make sure they do everything right. That's what we're here for.
And why do you think Everbridge are so well positioned to step up to those challenges, as it were, or to be the leader in these new futures that we're expecting?
As this trend grows, we'll see more software companies attempt to enter this aspect of the software stack, the safety part of the software stack. In reality, though, it's not just technology. It's actually know-how. It's people who have worked in this industry for decades who know the level of duty of care responsibility they occupy as business continuity experts, and also who know the global accountability as well. How the statutes in place for safety don't just live inside one organization. They live across organizations. They live in cities, states, nations. And therefore, it's important to keep that in mind that the safety part of technology is also involving the people part of humanity. And these two, when they come together, are what make a company like Everbridge really stand out in the marketplace as a different kind of experience. Not just one aspect of a safety stack, but all of them, plus all the expertise needed to do well.
I couldn't agree more, John. After all, that's why we put this series together, to hear from some of these people over the coming weeks and months. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, so thank you once again for sharing your thoughts with us, John. I'm certainly excited to be on this experience journey with you. And lastly, a big thanks to all of you in the audience. We look forward to welcoming you back to another episode in a few weeks' time, where we'll be discussing technology trends with none other than Everbridge's CTO, Imad Moulin. See you next time.